Jack Brewer, and your moderator, Senior Vice President of Communications, Alliance Defending Freedom, Billy Atwell.
Well, I want to start by thanking Matt and Mercy Schlaff for making this panel possible, and I'm so grateful for you two for giving up your time. Again, my name is Billy Atwell. I'm the Senior Vice President of Communications at Alliance Defending Freedom. ADF exists to advance every person's God-given right to live and speak the truth, and we contend for truth in law, policy, and the public square. For those unfamiliar with our work, our attorneys are attributed with 15 Supreme Court victories, and we have an international team that's doing work throughout the world. They just came back from ARC. Thank you. We've actually got 2 Supreme Court cases going on right now that I think you would be very interested in. The first one is Mundine versus Planned Parenthood. It's about protecting a state's right to decide if taxpayers should go to organizations like Planned Parenthood. And I feel like I have a pretty warm crowd for that, that idea. And the other is about education, which relates to this topic here. It's Oklahoma Statewide Charter School Board versus Drummond. It's about defending the decision to defund a religious charter school and fight for equal treatment of religious organizations in education. There are few issues that are going to impact our children and our grandchildren more than reforms to the education system, and that's why we're here. First, Erika Donalds is an education entrepreneur and is the founder and chairman of Optima Ed and the chair of America First Policy Institute Centers for Education and Opportunity. A former elected school board member, she is known as a national expert on education policy and school choice and is a frequent commenter and speaker on this issue. She spent 20 years in the financial services industry, finishing her career as the CFO and managing partner of a multi-billion-dollar investment management firm. Erika and her husband, Congressman Byron Donalds, lives in Florida. You're familiar? Very good. She lives in Naples, Florida with their 3 sons. Jack Brewer serves as the chair of the Center for Opportunity Now and chairman of the Jack Brewer Foundation. Recently, Jack was co-chair of Black Voices for Trump Victory Fund. He is a White House appointee on the Congressional Commission for the Social Status of Black Men and Boys and is currently the lead independent director for the GEO Group. He was the team captain for the NFL's Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles, who you may have heard of recently, and what I find to be the pinnacle of his career at the New York Giants. So I'm born in Brooklyn, I can't help myself. All right, let's lay a foundation, if you don't mind, for this topic. Erika, talk about what you see as the current state of particularly the public education system.
Well, the public education system in America has literally failed the American people. It hasn't lived up to the promise where we parents were told if you send your child to this school for 8 hours a day, we're going to teach them to read and do math and achieve their own American dream. That was a lie. We just found out a few weeks ago that only 1/3 of our students are doing reading and math on grade level, according to the National Report Card, the NAEP. And we are spending billions and billions of dollars not to teach our kids how to succeed and how to carry forward this republic that we all so value, but we're teaching them about victimhood and oppressors and the wrong history of the United States and the world, and to hate themselves and to hate our country. And so we are taking the education system back, though. We're here in the golden age of America, right, at the cusp of that. President Trump has promised to not only dismantle the Department of Education, but enact school choice and support universal school choice in our states where education belongs. So there's reason for hope, even though the education system has been failing for the past 100 years.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you think about, in the state where I live, Virginia, Glenn Youngkin essentially won the governor's seat on the issue of education and speaking to parents. Like, that was a key differentiator for him. Jack, President Trump, it feels like he's been president for like 1.5 years this term because so much has happened in a few weeks, right. But it's not been that long, and yet a lot has happened. What has he done so far that's really encouraged you on the topic of education?
First off, I want to look at the American people, whoever's watching, and speak to your kids for a second. And just tell your child, if no one's ever told you this, Jesus Christ loves you.
Amen.
You are not a victim. You have victory in Christ, and He is the ruler over your life. President Trump has done so much, but I think the most important thing that he's done in front of the American people is he has stood for biblical truth.
Yeah.
When he sat in front of the nation and said, God created man and woman, and that's it.
That's right.
And so when you talk about the education system, our founding fathers did not create an education system that is going to indoctrinate boys and girls to make them believe that they can be transgender and any gender they wanted to choose. Our education system was established with the basic belief in the Word of God. And so anything else throws us off. And I think President Trump has taken a stand. I think you've seen more and more companies coming back and back him. More and more employers in America have backed him because we're getting rid of these DEI policies and all these things that have drifted into our education system to start to pick winners and losers and actually separate us and put us back decades in regards to social and biblical justice. And so I just think that we should all understand the spiritual time in which we're living right now in America, particularly with our children.
Yep.
And let's get the 10 Commandments back in our schools. You're seeing it happen in Louisiana. You're seeing it happen in so many other states around our country. We all must take a stand, no matter what your religion is, to get this word back into the hearts and minds of our children that may not have access to it.
Yeah.
Amen. Erika, it's hard to know what to do sometimes, though, because parents, I think the instinct when they see these things happening in the public schools is to say, I'm going to put my kids in private school, I'm going to homeschool. And those are good options, and for some people that's the right decision. But you also don't want to forfeit the public arena to the other side. And then again, it's our children who are vulnerable and impressionable. How would you, you've got children, you're in the later teen phases with your children. How would you advise a parent with little kids like me? My kids are younger, they're like 11 to 2. We got a spread of 4. And we're struggling with it. Like we're asking ourselves a question right now, what's the best educational model? How would you advise a parent, given the system we have now, how would you advise them to go about making those decisions?
Well, that very dilemma is what got me involved in education. As you mentioned, I wasn't an educator, I was a CPA. But I have 3 children, and for one of my children, the A school that I was sending him to did not work well for him. He was miserable, therefore I was miserable as a parent. And I was fortunate enough to find a classical Christian private school to send him to, and his entire life changed in the 1st grade. He started to love learning and thrive in that environment, and I thought, well, how many other Darrens are out there, and can I help by serving on my local school board to give them options? But that's when my eyes were opened to the education monopoly and the corruption that is happening in our school districts. What I would say is, the left wants to say that our obligation is to the collective. But as parents, our #1 obligation is to our family and to our own children, raising them in the things of God. And that is your contribution to the community, raising your children well and making sure that they are prepared to be good citizens in this republic. And so you need to take care of your own children first. I personally would not send my children into a public school in this day and age. I don't care if it's an A or not. I don't trust them. And so I would do whatever I possibly could to find the right educational environment for my children. You take care, put your own mask on first, help your children, and then do things for your community. Run for school board. It's not a bad thing to do, but a lot of the families that I know that are running for school board that are involved in education reform, they took care of their children first, but they're there, as I was, to help take care of their community and other children that don't have that same opportunity.
Right, because the public education system is everybody's. Even if your kids are homeschooled or you go to a private school, that's your school too. We're paying for that. And we deserve to have an influence there. We're seeing a huge shift in the country with regard to DEI. It's been unpopular for a long time, but we're seeing major institutions and politicians starting to come on board and get with it. Alliance Defending Freedom, we've got a corporate engagement division that's been working, and part of the product of that work was what we're seeing with Walmart. Shareholders are speaking out, and they're saying, we're tired of this. We don't want it, and Walmart's making good decisions. There are also corporations that are not making the right decisions, but they're feeling the pressure. Jack, talk about, because you've worked a lot with young black men and boys. You've dealt with the issue of fatherlessness, which we can get into in a minute too. But talk about the impact of DEI and that general mentality on the education system.
First off, the devil is a lie, and DEI is a lie.
That's right.
All right? So I want to start off by saying that I'm a black man. And I happen to be the lead independent director of a multi-billion-dollar public company. And so America does have opportunity for people just like me. And I'll take that further. When you look at what DEI really does, so I do a lot of community work. I got my master's in education, adjunct professor. I've taught from, you're talking about the poorest of the poor on to multimillionaires. But the one thing that remains consistent is that whenever you tell someone that they're a victim, or you tell someone they don't have the ability to learn, then they won't.
Right.
So I have a little girl in one of my programs. She literally went to class. She got an F on a math exam. And the teacher told her that it's okay because she's a little black girl and that she doesn't have the ability to do this math. Telling the girl that math is racist. So for me, that burns me up inside. And so you start to think about what these little children are being taught in some of these public schools that Erika just mentioned, and it's just heart-wrenching. I'll tell you another story. When you talk about people, and Erika said this, it's not just about us, it's about our community, man. When you look at our juveniles, we gotta realize juvenile crime in the United States of America went up 21% last year. These are the little kids, the little boys. I have men in my prison program who have been locked up since the age of 14 with grown men. We have to do something for the poorest of the poor. It starts in our education system. We cannot leave these men and these children fatherless. Yep. Our nation is the most fatherless nation on the planet. We have over 18 million kids that don't have an active father in their home. I went to a juvenile courtroom. There were 25 young men and boys, most of them black, at court to be sentenced by a judge. I looked around, there was only one father in the entire courtroom. Can you imagine if your child was being sentenced? This is the epidemic that we're facing in our nation right now. Our education system will never work if we don't put the man back in the home.
It's a basic Christian concept. Children deserve a mother and a father.
Amen.
Every child deserves a mother and a father. I mentioned a minute ago that we're seeing shifts in DEI and public perception of it. Erika, you and I were talking about this earlier. How do we take what we see as a public opinion shift and make institutional change out of it, right? We can all like the ideas. We can be at CPAC and be excited about the ideas that we've gotten, that we're seeing some progress. But how do we influence institutions? So how do we get from where we are to where we want to go?
Well, that's so important for this audience, right? Because these are the people that believe as we do and have believed as we do, but now the rest of the country has also come along against DEI. People, it's an 80% issue. It was the #1 issue for President Trump, saying there are only 2 genders. We're gonna get men out of women's sports. And now he got elected with such a mandate and is enforcing Title IX and the protections that provides to girls in their spaces and in their athletics. And he's gonna plow forward. You gotta elect the right people. That's one way to institutionalize it. But look at something like school choice. School choice now enjoys over 70% support across the country, including 67% of Democrats support school choice. But you also see 100% of Democrats voting against school choice in our state legislators. Why? Because the teachers union and the funding behind them are controlling those electors. But then you look at a place like Texas, where also rural Republicans went against it, and you had organizations like AFC, Donald Trump himself, America First, Policy Institute come get rid of the majority of the Republican incumbents that voted against school choice last year. And this year, in just a few weeks, Texas will pass a school choice bill and spend $1 billion on giving parents options. So that's how you do it.
Yeah. You
get the public and you get the right people in office to make those bold changes.
Yeah, elections have consequences.
They do.
We've been saying that for a while, right? Jack, I want to go back to what you were talking about a minute ago with the fatherlessness issue and the education gap. What can the rest of us do? So if you're the average person in the pew, so to speak, you see this epidemic, you don't know what to do. I can't impact I may be able to impact one child, I can't fix the whole system, but what can the average person that just cares about the public education system, they care about these kids that don't have a mom or a dad in the home, what can we do? What would be your advice?
Well, my advice is, first off, understand that this is not just an issue of education or policy. This is a spiritual issue. The last verse of the Old Testament is Malachi 4:6. That verse says that he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers. But the end of that verse says something that's so powerful, and it's the times that we live in. He said, if we don't do it, he shall come and smite the earth with a curse. Our earth is feeling the curse. No matter if you go to Guatemala or Central America and see that all of their men and fathers are leaving their homes trying to migrate to America illegally. Or you go over to Africa when you see these societies that have gone from a patriarch society to a matriarch society. Or you come here in America where you can have a generation like mine that was raised to believe that having a baby mama is okay and cool. Those things are generational curses that we must break. The only way you bind up a curse is by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. And so we've got to testify. We've got to talk about these things in the public square. We've got to stand for these poor children that don't have advocates and people to stand up for them and be their voices. Man, get out in your community. Go to the local juvenile. Go in there and sit in a courtroom and tell a little boy that's 13, 14, 15 that don't have a dad that you love him. Go see those folks in prison like the word tells us to do. We can't just take care of our people that have. We got to take care of those that have not. Church, it's our job. Church, let's do what the church does. Donald Trump can only do so much. We need the church to take a stand. Churches start schools. Yeah. Churches start daycares. Churches empower organizations like Erika's to go in and push for school choice. Let's take our country back. Yeah. But we can only do that through God.
There is no replacement for a Christian witness. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we've got. If you want to learn more, erikadonalds.com, the Jack Brewer Foundation.org, and adflegal.org. We'll be around. You'll see us throughout the conference. Please stop us and say hello. Take care. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, up next, Joy Reid, a desperate plea for help. Please welcome senior columnist for townhall.com, Schlichter. With @ALX on X, Alex LaRusso. And your host of O'Connor and Company on WMAL, Larry O'Connor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got real big names waiting back. Hey, good to see you. We got super big names back there waiting to come out, so we're gonna get right to it. How about these guys, right? I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that I just wrote a book about the media. It's called Shameless Liars. Can we get a close-up on that artwork there?
It's got an incredible foreword by a real thought leader.
Forward by Schlichter. But the subtitle is How Trump Defeated the Legacy Media and Made Them Irrelevant. And that's sort of where I want to take this, because for years, ever since the great Rush Limbaugh and Brent Bozell at Media Research Center for the last 35, 37 years, the late, great Andrew Breitbart, who brought Kurt and I into this world, we spent so much time fighting the media and exposing their lies and exposing the propaganda, and it all reached a head this year with Donald Trump leading the charge, and he won. I mean, they are meaningless now, and so I want to start with that. And Joy Reid kind of is the namesake for this panel, because Alex, she's been reduced to being obsessed over big balls.
Correct.
And I need you to sort of explain this to us.
Yes, so like the media...
Explain Joy Reid's obsession with big balls.
Obsession with big balls. So she's going on media right now, and she's demanding that Congress subpoena a guy named Big Balls and Elon Musk with a straight face on. So we've reduced them to a point where they're just looking at social media for people like me who post on X, and they're getting their talking points from online. And no longer do they have a mind of their own. There's like a whole supercut. I think it was like Media Busters who did it. And there's just like all of these people on CNN, MSNBC, and they're just repeating big balls, big balls, big balls over and over with a straight face. So it's like you look at
they've got to get to the bottom of big balls.
So, yes. And they brought on Kara Swisher, the noted expert on the topic for that. But yeah, that's all over an intern at Doge, who was hired by Elon Musk. And of course, we have tens of thousands of people in our government who have access to all of your personal information, including your social security number. But when Elon Musk has a small team of genius interns that are probably like smarter than everybody else on that whole panel or on their entire network, it becomes the biggest deal that they all have access to your personal information. So they just set the standard to like dox all of these government workers for some reason, because tens of thousands of people that are not elected, by the way, have the access to your personal information every single day and have all of you.
Well, and they've all become, and they've been reduced to a punchline, these media personalities. That's why we're laughing at Joy Reid, because that's what we should do. We should mock them and make fun of them. And of course, all this talk about Joy Reid and big balls brings us to Don Lemon, Kurt. Which,
another gem.
He's my special friend.
I'm gonna connect the dots, I promise you. Because, Kurt, it was during the presidential election of
December 22nd, 2015, I get this call. Can you come on CNN real quick? Just a video hit. I get on, and Don Lemon's outraged because, it's the worst thing ever happened. Donald Trump said Hillary got schlonged in the 2008 election.
She did.
And I don't care at all. And we're going back and forth. He said, you should be more upset. And I said, look, his opponent shilled for her husband who treated his intern like a human humidor.
Fact check, true.
And he said, you can't say that. So I said it again. And he kicked me off. And what we're saying here is the media used to be something that hit us. Now we use it for a punching bag. Everybody knows the JD meme.
Right.
Okay? I don't really care, Margaret. They go on her show to humiliate her, and she's too stupid to know it.
They don't know they're the joke at this point.
How excited is National Security Advisor Mike Waltz right now, knowing that he's coming out after this panel?
Well, he's an Army colonel, too, so.
But you were banned from CNN.
Yes. For 10 years, I have not been on CNN, and it's changed my life for the better.
Well, and honestly, who's got a better career trajectory right now, Kurt Schlichter or Don Lemon? Because he has also been banned from CNN.
Well, look, I'm on it more than he is. Look, I literally have more followers on the Twitter machine than they have viewers. Think about that.
Exactly. 100%.
So, Alex, your work that you do right now, you've got a meme for everything. And the fact that these guys can be reduced to a meme, that Margaret Brennan, the host of Face the Nation, a very important show in a very important town with a very important teleprompter reader as its host, she is now a meme. She can't do anything.
Yep.
From how J.D. Vance has handled her with these interviews to now reducing her to saying that too much free speech will lead to a genocide.
Yes.
This really is the best way to attack them now, is to just reduce them to a punchline.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, it's like I said earlier, they don't have a mind of their own anymore. They are reduced to like scrolling social media and looking for the most viral moment that's going on social media, and it becomes now what they're talking about. Like, to give you an example, one of my local city council had, they just declared, my city that I'm from, Worcester, Massachusetts, just declared themselves a trans sanctuary city. So I got a tip that it was getting a little wild at the city council meeting, and I watched the 4-hour video of them all, like, you've probably seen it, the girl with the wig and everything, the blue hair.
Oh yeah, that was that city council.
Yeah, so that was my city. I went and through and clipped it. For the next 3 days, it was all over, like, every corporate media, like, talking about it. So it's like they're looking at everything that they find online, and then they're making it their news cycle. So they don't have a mind of their own anymore.
And, you know, we talk about the gatekeepers a lot. The gatekeepers are the people who used to say what kind of news, New York Times, right? All the news that's fit to print. Who's deciding what's fit to print, right? There's some people in a tower in Manhattan who's, oh, that's not news that's fit to print, but this is news that's fit to print. And they would decide what was worthy for your eyes, what was news that you could consume. It's been reversed now.
Correct.
In fact, we are the ones, as Elon Musk says, we are the media. We are driving what's important, and that's what this new revolution is about.
Well, and there's an
right?
And it all goes back to Andrew Breitbart. And one of the underappreciated aspects is how much fun we're having, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got to dance. They're eating the dogs. They're eating, there we go. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. We are having fun. We're laughing. And Kamala Harris says, my message is joy.
As she's screaming. As Biden's screaming, as she's screaming.
You will be happy.
By the way, you mentioned Andrew Breitbart again, and I just want to say, I want to read this. This is the very end of my book, but it's a quote from Andrew Breitbart. You all remember Andrew, right? God bless him.
Yeah, ALX was 5 when this...
Yeah, exactly. Elon Musk is now saying we are the media, and he's right. We are the media, using social media platforms, using X, which is now a free platform. On Tax Day 2010, during the rise of the Tea Party movement, Andrew Breitbart was asked to speak in Washington, D.C. at a Tea Party rally. And you should look at this video, it's out there. He asked everybody in the crowd there at the Tea Party rally to hold up their phones. And he said this, it's time for a new media revolution, and you are it. You are the media. Hold up your phones, hold up your cameras. This is the future of media. This is how we're going to fight the lies, the misinformation, and the propaganda of the mainstream media. We are now the media.
Yeah.
Andrew Breitbart, 15 years ago, said that. And Alex, I mean, you have inherited this legacy now, and you are the media.
It's really interesting, too, because a little bit about my story, too. In 2020, I was really gaining traction, and I was about to hit 100,000 followers on Twitter 1.0 at the time, and then I was just banned for like 3 years nearly until Elon Musk brought me back, and I'm now almost at 1 million followers on X. But yeah,
hold that thought. He had 100,000 followers, and they banned him because he was so, look at how dangerous he is. Elon Musk buys it, opens it up for free thought and free speech, and now you've got 1 million followers.
Yep, nearly. I'm 30,000 from 1 million, so if you want to get me there before I leave the stage, go for it, at ALX. But yeah, so to your point, it's just like, you know, you are the media because you have a phone and you have the platform on social media. And one of the things that's ironic about this whole, you know, moral panic around misinformation, disinformation, all these people can go on their shows, like, you know, for 4 years they talked about the Russia propaganda hoax and Russian collusion hoax. So they were allowed to say that unchecked. They got to have their own guests on there, and that, like Adam Schiff saying he has inside knowledge about all this crap. On social media, no, it's a blood sport. You say something wrong, you're gonna get ratioed or community noted.
That's right.
So you're the media, and you're also the checker, like you're the fact checker. There's not like independent fact checkers like Meta used to have. You are the fact checker, and what actually...
Well, because the independent fact checkers weren't independent.
Exactly, yes,
and they weren't based in fact.
Correct.
And this is an important point that I want you to pick up on, Kurt, because this whole idea of needing fact checkers and needing to moderate what you say, and it's all coming from this arrogant presumption that you're too stupid to understand what's true and what isn't. You're too stupid to discern from a hoax and what's real.
I'm not sure that they think we're stupid. I know they say they're stupid because it justifies their existence.
Yeah, that's
okay,
true.
They want to be the gatekeeper. They want to be making the decision. And you don't need a gatekeeper if you are an individual, if you are an independent American citizen with your camera and computer who goes out and makes his or her own news. We don't need them. It terrifies them.
Yeah.
That is why Never Trump exists.
Yep.
Because we didn't need them.
That
and they got mad.
That said, the platform and the technology and the freedom is there, and it's opening up more. Mark Zuckerberg suddenly is red-pilled, right? And that's amazing. But it all starts with this fist thrust in the air. It all starts with him yelling, fight, 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 right? Because he has shown us how to fight. Suddenly you see Republicans on Capitol Hill are channeling Trump because he's contagious. And I think I'll give you a perfect example. George Stephanopoulos last year lied about Donald Trump. He said that he was convicted by a jury of raping somebody, and he said it 7 times in a 6-minute span. What did Donald Trump do? Did he do a Mitt Romney thing? Did he do a George Bush thing? Did he do what Republicans have done for our lifetimes, which is just be the better man and say, oh, well, you know how they are, tut, tut, let's walk away? No, he fought, he sued, and he won. And that's what we have to do. And the fight we have, listen, we're doing a victory lap right now because we've rendered the media irrelevant, but they're not going away. The fight continues, Alex, every day.
100%. And then the other thing, too, to your point, 60 Minutes tried to edit that Kamala Harris interview.
That's right.
How did that go for them? The FCC has now released the entire thing, and we saw what a sham it was. Well, they messed up because they put the promo out with, like, the other answer.
With a different answer,
wait a
the word
second,
salad answer.
What happened here? Like,
well, and Kurt, this goes back to the arrogance because think about it. Donald Trump had the choice of sitting for 40 minutes with 60 Minutes and letting them condense it down to 20 minutes that they decided we could see. And they do that, by the way. They edit these packages because they think you have a short attention span. They talk down to you all the time. Instead, he said, no, I don't need freaking 60 Minutes. I'll sit for 3 hours uninterrupted with Joe Rogan and oh, and by the way, 50 million of you watched that. How's that for short attention span?
And here's the beauty of it. Kamala Harris wants to go on Joe Rogan. She thinks she's the get. She thinks she's in the driver's seat. Joe Rogan's like,
get it.
Nah. Talk to the hand.
Wow.
You don't set the conditions. They don't own us anymore.
That's right.
They're not in charge. We are.
Well, I think we've recovered from our big balls opening, and I think we'll quit while we're ahead. You guys, thank you. Keep fighting. Follow Alex, get him to 1 million, and buy my book.
Hey, chopped liver.
You can crack the code of nuclear waste. You've solved something that no one has attempted to do before and has succeeded.
We're onto something big.
We have the U.S. government partnered with us now to prove our technology out.
Make America stronger.
I want to provide limitless energy to the world, and I believe this is the path.
Every institution today is under attack. The home, the church, the government. And many people are asking, what is the truth? Jesus Christ claimed